On a quiet country road, a young black boy knelt beside a luxury SUV, his small hands gripping a tire iron with determination. The car belonged to a wealthy man dressed in an expensive suit, watching silently as the boy struggled to loosen the bolts. What seemed like a simple act of kindness would soon spiral into something far greater than anyone expected. Because what happened after that moment didn't just change the boy's day, it changed his entire life. But was it for the better or the worse?
Darius was only 12 years old, living in a small town where opportunities were scarce, but his heart was far bigger than his circumstances. He spent most days helping his mother with chores, running errands for neighbors, and dreaming of a better life beyond the dusty roads that stretched endlessly before him. Though life was tough, he carried himself with quiet strength, always willing to lend a hand where he could. On that particular afternoon, as the sun beat down, Darius spotted a sleek black Mercedes pulled over on the side of the road. Its owner, a wealthy older man in a suit, stood by impatiently glaring at the flat tire. Without hesitation, Darius jogged over, eager to help despite not knowing what awaited him. To him, it was just another act of kindness. One more chance to prove that good deeds mattered, no matter how small. But he couldn't have known that this moment would pull him into a test far greater than he'd ever faced before.
At first, Darius worked quietly, kneeling in the dirt as he strained against the tight bolts of the tire. Sweat dripped from his forehead, but he kept going, determined to finish what he had started. The wealthy man stood above him, arms folded, his polished shoes gleaming in the sunlight. Instead of gratitude, his eyes carried a cold detachment, as though the boy's effort was expected, not appreciated. As cars passed by, some drivers slowed down, staring curiously. A few shook their heads, whispering to themselves. Darius could feel the weight of their eyes, some filled with pity, others with judgment. To them, it wasn't just a boy helping a man with a flat tire. It was a young black child serving a wealthy white stranger. When the tire was finally fixed, Darius looked up with a hopeful smile, expecting at least a word of thanks. But the man's response cut deep. He reached into his pocket, tossed a few crumpled bills onto the ground, and muttered, "That should cover it." His tone dripped with superiority, not kindness. Darius froze, staring at the money scattered in the dust. This wasn't a reward, it was a reminder of where society thought he belonged. His chest tightened, his heart pounding with confusion and hurt. Something about this moment was different, heavier. It wasn't just about a tire anymore.
Darius stood frozen, his small hands trembling as the bills fluttered in the dirt. Each crumpled note felt less like money and more like an insult, a sharp reminder of the invisible wall that separated him from the man towering above. For a moment, he considered picking them up, but something inside him shifted. He had offered kindness, not service, and what he received in return was humiliation. The wealthy man turned to leave, stepping into his polished car without another glance. Dust from the tires rose into the air, clouding Darius's vision as the SUV pulled away, leaving him standing alone on the roadside. His chest tightened, tears stinging his eyes, not from weakness, but from the heavy truth pressing down on him. No matter how pure his intentions, the world saw only his skin first. That day, the boy's view of kindness changed forever. What was supposed to be a simple act of goodwill had become a harsh lesson about the cruel reality of prejudice.
As the dust settled, Darius remained on the roadside, staring at the crumpled bills lying in the dirt. He didn't touch them. To him, they weren't a gift. They were a reminder of how easily dignity could be stripped away. That walk back home felt heavier than any chore he had ever done. His heart weighed down by a truth too big for a 12-year-old to carry. In the days that followed, he replayed the moment over and over, struggling to understand why his kindness had been treated as something lesser. For the first time, Darius realized that the world wasn't always fair, and that skin color could decide how people judged him long before they saw his heart. Yet, within that pain grew a seed of strength. He promised himself that one day he would rise above those prejudices, proving that his worth wasn't measured by the color of his skin or the size of his wallet. Racism doesn't always scream. It often whispers through small humiliations that cut just as deep. And so, we must ask ourselves, how many more children like Darius will be forced to carry scars from lessons they should never have to learn?